So looking at what's happened in the past, what's happening in the present, and what's making history, it's another episode of Historic. So it was in 1748 that the great hymn writer Isaac Watts died. We spoke about him on our most recent On This Day video on social media, which you can see here. But if you'd like to know more about Isaac Watts, there's a great book on him by Beynon, Isaac Watts, His Life and Thought, which looks into the fact that Watts was an apologist in his time. He had written a great book on logic, which was used in the great universities. He's a great thinker, and he wanted people to understand that the gospel isn't just something you do God a favor by believing. No, this is what makes sense of reality. But of course, that gospel flowered, not just in getting things correct, it flowered in worship. We remember Isaac Watts because of his wonderful hymns. In the present, we've given walks to many people from
Annapolis, Maryland.
Moscow, Idaho.
Idaho.
Philadelphia. North Carolina.
Colorado.
Peru. Lima, Peru.
East London.
But also, we've had great times on podcasts. We lately put out a great podcast that Paul Hewlett gave us. He's the minister of Grove Chapel in Camberwell, and he's recently written a book called Time for Judgment. It was a great opportunity to sit down with a local London pastor who's thoughtful, whose roots go into the gospel, who wants Jesus glorified in the context of the local church. Look out for that great podcast, that great interview he gave us. Also, we're just putting up a podcast bookmark with Richard Bray, who is another local London pastor. He leads a church called St. Anne's Limehouse. Great to hear him talking about his favorite books. And more recently, we put out a podcast, an interview with David and Gloria Furman. Now, the Furmans are in Dubai. They're from the United States, but David's the pastor of a church, Redeemer Church in Dubai, and he's a precious fellow. They're a precious couple, and we had a wonderful time talking with them. Gloria has written a great book called Missional Motherhood. It was a very refreshing and encouraging time hearing how these people have been established in the gospel, which is not only enabling them to carry on, but is the cry of their hearts. So it's a wonderful privilege to talk with them. Look out for that podcast. I had the privilege also of being on The Way UK. I was a guest on their podcast, being interviewed by Jesse Fellingham, who is the son of my old friend Nathan Fellingham, grandson of Dave Fellingham, and great-grandson of Ben Fellingham, who I remember as a child, and Jesse had never met Ben, and so it was a great delight to tell him on his podcast about his own grandfather, who's a lovely Christian and someone who loved Jesus and used to pray for me every day. And finally, in the present, if you have a friend and you can't think of what to get them for a present this Christmas, have you considered getting them a Christian Heritage London walk voucher? We offer vouchers for our city walks, Westminster walks, and museum and gallery tours. If you'd like to get in touch, find out about them, look on our website, christianheritagelondon.com. Making history. On the 3rd and 4th of December, the Westminster Conference is happening in London. Now, the Westminster Conference goes back to Dr. Martin Lloyd-Jones. The great book, The Puritans, by Dr. Martin Lloyd-Jones, came from talks from that great conference. This year, there are talks on Luther, Nicaea, Bullinger, and it's going to be another fascinating and stimulating conference. Look up the Westminster Conference, this year to be held at St. Giles Christian Mission in North London. So that'll be on the 3rd and the 4th of December, and details will be in the caption. So until next time, remember, Jesus Christ is the same, yesterday and today and forever.